Greetings, my name is Edmundo Ayala. I am the creator of Crawler Innovations. Today we're going to update the Little Nova video series, or production, or how would you say that? I guess product video. There you go. When I first created the Little Nova system, the wheels that were being made back at that time, this is an actual Vanquish wheel. You can tell it's one of the older wheels because it has the aluminum can, because like other things in life, things generally get cheaper as they go, and this is a brand new rim out of a VP package, and you can see that they're now plastic wheels. It's a plastic can, but it's still the same width, the original width. But what many people don't realize or know is that Vanquish changed up the can, and they made, this is a Vanquish 1.9 tank, and you can see how much wider the beadlock itself is, as well as the can. The can is significantly wider. And what's going on here too is there's Velcro on the outside, and this is the rough side of the Velcro. This has been taped on to the plastic wheel, one, to create a larger inside diameter to help take up any space, as well as to create something abrasive to help prevent the foam from sliding or shifting on the can. So that's a little tip for you. Some people like to will install that and come back and put some glue in the center here, either CA glue or another good glue is the Shugu. That's what it is. The Shugu does that. So at any rate, that's something that needs to be, so if you're running one of these rims, you definitely need a narrow foam or an original foam. It won't say narrow, it'll just be an original Little Nova foam. But if you're running one of the updated wheels, or SSD has wide cans, RC four-wheel drive, it's really going to depend upon the manufacturer that you're buying from, because each one's going to have a different clearance or tolerance based on what they want to ride with. I mean, it's just each company's different. They all have different preferences, but you need to know, because if you try and put a narrow foam on a wide can, unless the tire itself is narrow, it's going to want to wander. It's not going to fully fill. And an example of the difference here is, this is a 4 1/4 Little Nova. This is an original one, and then this is the wide version. They're the exact same height, but this is 1 3/8 width. This one here is 1 3/4, and the 1 3/4 more than fills the wide can, as you can tell here. The other thing that it does, and what I feel is important as a designer, is that this wide can and the way that this is shaped, this foam is putting pressure against the sidewalls of the tire. Because in reality, in design, the best performance is going to come when you can essentially extend the rim internally inside of the tire. Because, and it's pretty common, I mean, Deluxe Fab sells a rim that's called the Loaded Dice, and it is a 2.2 rim on the outside so that it's legal for competition, but on the inside it varies in height, I think like 3.5 or 4 inches. It's quite a bit, and I don't use them ourselves, but I understand the principle. And we, back in 2007 and 8, we used to make a Delrin support ring that we called it, that used to clamp onto the middle of these. That was before we designed the closed cell foam, and the same purpose of putting something tall inside to force the tire to track the rim when it steers. Well, you can accomplish the same thing by making sure that your foam is wide enough to seal itself against the sidewalls of your tire and still be taut to your beadlock can. Because by doing that, you then now have the outer, if this inside area is all sealed off, then that just leaves only your outer for your compression. And at that point, you can tune your compression based on what outer you go with, a soft outer or a medium outer or a firm outer, or it can also be done by jumping up in heights. And what I mean by that is, the Little Nova system uses the same outer for the 4 1/4, the 4 1/2, and the 4 3/4. So all three are using this same outer. It's just that with the 4 1/4, it slides on pretty easy. The 4 1/2, it begins to stretch. The 4 3/4, it stretches even more, because now again we are playing with the height and shape of the inner, and allowing the outer to only just focus on just what it's supposed to do, which is setting up the contact patch for the terrain that you're crawling on. So, and to follow this up too, we have the wide foams in all these different sizes. So there's the 450 wide, there's the 4 3/4 wide, and these are also available in our heavyweight density, which is the same cut and shape as these foams here, but it's a black foam. It's a much more dense foam. And I know we've named this our heavyweight foam, and it really doesn't ever refer to the weight, because these foams are extremely light. You're not going to find any other foams lighter than what we produce or perform as consistently as what we produce. We've been in this for 15 years. We know what we're doing, and that's part of the reason now why we're taking the time to teach this to you, because without you, Crawler Innovations wouldn't exist. It's a circular relationship that we need customers, and we want you to have the best performance, because that's the mission statement of the company. I mean, there's no point in having a company that doesn't create something that's useful. So that's covered a lot of it. I think we're going to take a break here and probably come back.